Dear learners, I would like to welcome you all in my YouTube channel English World. Do subscribe and share my video. In this video, we are going to discuss Ibsen's A Doll's House as a problem play. A Doll's House is a problem play or a thesis play. It does not, of course, offer any ready-made solution to the problem with which it deals. But a dramatist is not bound to offer solutions. Ibsen presents the problem and leaves the solution to the readers. The problem is, what is the position or status of a woman vis-a-vis a husband and her home? The play does not deal with the rights of women in general, nor does it advocates the emancipation of women in the sense in which we understand the word emancipation. It merely shows us the sad consequences of the subordination of a married woman to the control of a husband. The play focuses our attention in the conjugal life of a middle class couple and shows us the relationship existing between the husband and the wife and the possible consequences of that particular kind of relationship. The play deals with the predicament in which a married woman finds herself on account of the excessive control which a husband exercises upon her, and it shows the method which the woman employs in order to get out of the predicament. Marriage is thus very much the theme of the play, and Ibsen therefore appears here as a dramatist of social realities. The particular social reality with which Ibsen's attention in this play is marriage and the position which a married woman occupied in her home at the time when the play was written. Ibsen is definitely on the side of Noora in this play, and she wins our sympathies also. Thus, it would not be wrong to say that A Doll's House is a feminist play, even though Ibsen himself refused to accept this description of the play. The character of the play, the central character of the play is Noora herself. Noora in this play is elaborately drawn. The portrayal, besides being elaborate, is also realistic and vivid. The author has actually made her live before us in the pages of the play. There is a remarkable development in her character before our very eyes. During the brief period of 3 days over which the action of the play extends, she almost undergoes a transformation. At the end of the play, she is a being far different from what she was at the beginning. She is portrayed in varied relations. We see her in her relations with her children, in her relations with moneylender Krogstad, in her relations with her friend Christine Lindy, in her relations with an admirer and secret lover Dr. Rank, in her relations with the old nurse who had brought her up and who is now bringing her children, and above all in her relation with her husband. When the play begins, we find her in a very merry mood. It is Christmas Eve and she has just come back home from her Christmas shopping. She is in a carefree mood. She is humming cheerfully to herself. She does not seem to have the least worry in her life. Even her financial worries seems to her at the end because her husband is going to take up a newly highly paid job with effect from the New Year day. At the end of the play, however, we see the same woman in a serious, somber mood, making her exit from her husband's home and going to face an uncertain future. Much has happened during these 3 days, and a vast change has taken place in her thinking. and in her outlook upon life. Indeed, the change is most radical and one which we did not expect in the last at the beginning. Noora is a devoted and self sacrificing wife. Several years ago, when her husband had fallen seriously ill, and when the doctors had advised her to take him away to a warm climate in South Europe, she had felt compelled to borrow money on interest from a man called Croxted, and had also found it necessary under the circumstances to forge the signature of her father on the bond, which she had signed in order to get the money from Croxted. The forgery having been thought by her to be unavoidable because Croxted had wanted someone to stand a surety for her in respect to the loan, and because it had been possible for her actually to obtain the father's signature. All these years she had felt happy in the thought that she had been able to save her husband's life by having taken him away to a warm climate in Italy, even though she had been forced to borrow the money for the purpose, and even though it had become necessary for her to forge her father's signature. Of course, at the time, she had not realized that the act of forgery was something serious and criminal act which could land her in trouble. She had regularly been paying the loan with interest in monthly installments to Croxted, and in order to make these payments, she has been finding it necessary to spend as little upon himself as possible. She has even been undertaking some copying work from outside in order to earn a bit of money so as not to fail to pay the installment. But she has never felt sorry about the loan that she took because she has always found pleasure in the thought that she had saved her husband's life. She has never thought it proper to reveal the fact of the loan or the forced signature to her husband because she has never wanted her husband to have the feeling that she had done anything special or extraordinary for him. She knows that if her husband were to know that he owes anything to her, his pride would be hurt. She has therefore taken every precaution to keep the whole transaction a secret from her husband. Her dealings with Croxted have been a clandestine affair. When her old friend of school days, Mrs. Christine Lindy, now a widow, comes to see Noora, they have an intimate conversation, in the course of which they tell each other about their past lives. It is during this conversation that Noora tells Mrs. Lindy about the sacrifice she had made in order to save her husband's life. She tells Mrs. Lindy that she had done something to be proud of, something which has always given her a great satisfaction. She is also happy to tell Mrs. Lindy that she has been working very hard in order to meet her financial obligations in respect of the loan that she had taken. In the beginning, she keeps the identity of the man from whom she had taken the loan a secret from Mrs. Lindy. But soon afterwards, Mrs. Lindy comes to know that the loan had been obtained from Croxted, who is now making a nuisance of himself to Noora. Noora shows a considerable friendly feeling for Mrs. Lindy, who is now in need of a job and whom she strongly recommends to her husband. Her husband agrees to give Mrs. Lindy a job in the bank as soon as he keeps over charge of the bank as its manager. Noora shows her amiable and helpful nature in her relations with Mrs. Lindy, even though she had failed to write a condolence letter to her when her husband had died 3 years ago, and even though she is unable to accommodate Mrs. Lindy in her own apartment. To Mrs. Lindy, Noora also reveals the fact about Dr. Rank when Mrs. Lindy suspects that he is the man who had given a loan to Noora. And when Mrs. Lindy at the first wrongly believes Dr. Rank to be undesirable sort of person with whom, in her opinion, Noora should have nothing to do. Noora is a very loving mother who almost dotes upon her children. There is a scene, though a very brief one, in Act 2 in which we are shown how much she loves her children, even though it is the old nurse who mostly looks after them and who is largely responsible for their upbringing. It is a happy domestic scene in which the children shows great pleasure in the company of their mother, and in which Noora is shown as supremely happy in playing with them. When it seems to her that she might have to leave their house altogether and to leave her children behind, she asks the old nurse if the latter would continue to look after them as dutifully as she is doing now. Thus, she is quite concerned about the welfare and the happiness of her children, and it comes as a great surprise to us that ultimately she actually leaves them. Her desertion of her children at the end is something of which we cannot approve, but her own state of mind at the time is such that she finds no alternative but to leave them. An unpleasant trait of Noora's character is her tendency to tell lie. She denies that she had eaten any macaronis or jam. She denies that Croxted had paid her a visit. She tells Mrs. Lindy that she had got the money for the trip to Italy from her father. She tells Helma that Mrs. Lindy had come all the way from her native town to see him now that he has been appointed a bank manager and request him for a job, and so on. For 8 years, she concealed from her husband the transaction into which she had entered with Croxted. Whatever her motive for keeping the transaction a secret, it shows a certain disregard for truth. Her propensity to deceive rather jars upon our mind. It is Croxted who makes Noora conscious of the gravity of the offense she had committed in forging her father's signature on bond. At the time of signing the bond on her father's behalf, she had not thought that she was doing anything which could lead her into trouble or which could create a big complication in her life. In fact, forging her father's signature emerges subsequently as the most crucial act of her life, an act which determines the essential action of the play, leading to a confrontation with her husband and to her leaving him altogether. Even then, Croxted first tells her about her act of forgery as having been a serious violation of the law. She can hardly believe him because she cannot see how the law can condemn a woman who had tried to spare her sick father's feeling and who had tried to save her husband's life. It is only when her husband speaks in strong terms condemning Croxted for having committed a breach of law similar to the one committed by Noora that she begins to believe that she might really have done something wrong. She then begins to avoid her children so that her influence upon them should not corrupt them. In response to Croxted's request, and even more to prevent her long kept secret from coming to the notice of her husband, she speaks to her husband on Croxted's behalf, urging him to let Croxted keep his job in the bank. When Helmer rejects recommendation of Croxted's behalf, not once but twice, she feels desperate with anxiety and does not know what to do. She hopes that Croxted would not betray, but when Croxted actually drops into Helmer's letter containing all the facts about Noura's transaction with him, she becomes almost frenetic with anxiety. Her anxiety, it is to be particularly noted, is not due to much the thought that Helmer would come to know the secret which she has kept from him all these years. Her anxiety is largely due to the feeling that Helmer would take the whole blame for her action upon himself and would thus expose himself to criticize from all quarters. She does not want that her husband should take upon himself the blame in order to protect her life, to avoid the possibilities that the Helmer might take her guilt upon his own soldiers. She decides to run away from the home and even to commit suicide. Thus, she has high expectation from her husband, thinking that he would make any conceivable sacrifice to protect her from public disgrace. Of Croxted and his threat, she does not feel afraid at all. Her only fear is that her secret would become known to her husband and that she might then take the entire responsibility for her wrongdoing on his own shoulders. She readily accepts the help offered by Mrs. Lindy in this connection. Mrs. Lindy promises to speak to Croxted so that he may withdraw the letter he has written to Helmer before Helmers get the opportunity to read through it. However, soon afterward, Mrs. Lindy changes her mind and tells Noura that her husband must be told the secret. Noura refuses to tell the secret to her husband but comes to know it from Croxted's letter. Noura, in the meanwhile, having resigned herself to whatever fate may be in store for her.